Maybe you're one of those realtors who every time you try to work with an investor, it never works out. You spend a lot of time, a lot of energy, and you have nothing to show for it at the end of the day. Maybe you work with a few investors, but man, they're so needy. They want you to do so much work for a little pay. And at the end of the day, they can switch things at the last minute without even telling you, which again leaves you with no fruit for all of your labor. Right? Or you may find yourself where you love to work with investors, but you're just intimidated. You don't feel like you know enough. You don't feel like you've done enough, right? And with other realtors out there who may have invested themselves, why would an investor want to work with you? Right? So anyway, guys, my name is Adam Oduwumi. I'm the founder and CEO of Uprise Real Estate Partners, and I'm going to give you the content, the information, the knowledge, the more importantly, the wisdom on how to properly work with investors. So whether you are one of the three, type of realtors I just mentioned or others, you will be able to work profitably with investors. Let me tell you something real quick. Investors are literally, guys, one of the ways that you can add consistency to your business and to your income growth year after year after year, right? And here's what's funny. It does not matter if the market is going up or if the market is going down. Understand this, guys. We work with investors. I work with investors, a ton of investors back when we were in a recession, back in 09, 11, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, right? I've worked with investors from where we're kind of, in a buyer's market, 16, 17, 18, and then as we started approaching to a seller's market, 19, 20, 21, guess what? We work with more investors now than we ever have, right? Why? Because investors, here's what's funny. It does not matter if it's a good market or a bad market. Investors are just always looking for opportunities. And in every market, there are opportunities, right? So what I want to do for you guys is I want to give you the 12 biggest mistakes I see realtors make when working with investors, so that you, one, don't have to keep making these mistakes. Two, if you haven't even worked with investors, you can avoid making these mistakes, or at least be aware of them and do the opposite, right? And number three, that you can start adding some investors to your clientele, to your database, to your book of business, and start adding some consistency to how much business you do every year. I went through the initial roller coaster, right? Up this year, down this year, up this year, down this year, right? And there were a few key things I did in my personal life, my personal development, and in my business that allowed me to get on a trajectory where I was making more money and have been more money every single year, no matter what the economy is doing. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right. So number one, assuming the investor knows what they're doing. Wait, what'd you say, Adam? Yes, I said it. Assuming the investor actually knows what they're doing is one of the biggest mistakes you can make as a realtor in working with investors, right? And here's something I want you to write this down. For those of you that are taking notes, good job. You're going to see results probably a lot faster, but check this out. Ready? Not all investors are made equally. Like that. Not all investors are made equally, right? You have to understand people come from different backgrounds. People come from different locations. People come from different places. People come from different levels of education, level of knowledge, level of wisdom. And here more, as important as an investor standpoint, people come from different amounts of capital, money, intention, goals, desires, strengths, things of that nature, right? So as a realtor, if you start working with an investor and you just assume that an investor knows everything they want to do, the investor doesn't really need you, you're just hoping to tag along and get paid for, opening up doors for them, and you just assume they know everything that they're doing, you're going to get into the trap of spending so much time, wasting so much time in the wrong areas working with an investor, and have no results or have very little results to show for it. Because if your investor's getting off track, if your investor's going left field, you're not going to be able to help rein them in. You're not going to be able to identify that and ask the proper questions to get them to reevaluate the decisions that they're making. and get back on track, right? It's not that you have to know everything. It's not that you have to have a perfect system of as far as how to help them get their property, but you don't want to assume that they know exactly what they're doing. So what does that mean? Ask questions. Ask questions and do your own research. Ask questions and do your own research. All right, next. Another big mistake is not asking more questions about the investor's experience. Okay, this is key, about the investor's experience. Just because an investor has, listened to podcasts and read books for the last 2 years does not mean that they have experience as an investor, right? When it's another level from just looking at properties online and making phone calls to actually visiting properties and making offers on properties, right? It's a whole nother deal making offers on properties to actually going through and getting properties under contract and then doing due diligence inspections and things of that nature, and then deciding if you're going to move forward or negotiate repairs, negotiate price, things of that nature. It's a whole nother level. It's a whole nother ballgame. And so it's important for you to make sure that you dig deep when you do consultation with investors in their experience. Why? One, you don't want to work with any posers. If someone's newer, you want to know that they're newer, right? If someone has bought investment properties for the last 10 years, you want to know that they bought investment properties for the last 10 years. Why do you want to know that? Not so that you can just ride their coattail and do whatever they say. No, but the fact that you can leverage their experience, yes, right, to hopefully make your job easier, but you can also do some education when it comes to the current market, because yeah, they might have bought their last deal 3 years ago, but the market is not the same as it was 3 years ago. So you may need to educate them on the current market, so they're not wasting your time making 50 offers on properties and lowballing them so low that out of 50 offers they get none, right? We don't have a problem making low offers, but again, it's for a purpose and a certain strategy, not just all willy-nilly seeing what happens, right? So not asking enough more questions about the investor's experience. Here's another thing. If they're a buy and hold investor and they want to do a flip, well, guess what? There's going to be some education and learning curve that they have to go through of understanding of looking at the property for flip purposes and not buy and hold, or vice versa, right? If they're a person looking to, for example, if they're looking to flip a property, or they've been a flipper and now they're looking to buy an Airbnb, well, that's a little bit different, than just buying another flip property, right? There's things that you guys got to get discussed. There's a strategy that you guys got to come up with, because doing an Airbnb is a little bit different than just buying a flip property, right? So asking more questions about the investor's experience. Also, if you just know this, here's a free tip. If you get an investor that has no investor experience, but all they have is paying fortune builders or rich dad poor dad or someone $25,000 to learn how to invest in real estate, you need to understand that the level of respect that they may have for you as a realtor and your time may be very low. I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but it may be very low. So it's important for you to make sure and ask, like, hey, do you have any hands-on, like, have you bought any properties yourself? No, but I paid $25,000 to fortune builders, or I paid $25,000 to rich dad poor dad. Okay, got you. So let me ask you, what's your strategy in terms of getting a property? And if you hear things like, well, I want to make 25 offers to get one deal, be like, that's nice. That may work in Omaha. That may work in whatever, but I don't have time. I don't have time to make 25 offers and see what happens, right? And hopefully get one deal, right? So there's some things we need to do, right? And if you're not sure about what to do, then reach out to us. Look at some of our other videos of training in terms of working with investors that'll give you some additional insight. But that is another mistake that realtors make, is not asking enough questions about the investor's experience. If the investor's experience is all buying properties in New York or California, it's a little bit different than it is in Texas, right? Next, not getting enough feedback on how they feel about their other investments. So once you get their experience, and let me tell you something, this is one of the best questions that you can ask an investor. It almost speeds, here's what it does. It almost makes the conversation more real and more transparent, because an investor can say all this stuff. I want to make 50,000. I want to do this. And you say, okay, how many deals have you done in the last year or two? Oh, I've done 2 or 3. Great. What was your net profit on those deals? And if they say 20,000, 0,000, 30,000, okay, why the heck are you putting the pressure on yourself and on me to find you a deal that's going to net you $50,000? Right? So it's almost like the numbers don't lie. And it's almost like being able to reevaluate that and say, okay, do your goals align with your, what you've been doing? And then, like I said, getting feedback, finding out what did you like about that rental property you bought last year? What did you not like about it? And getting that context. Context is everything in working with investors. So when you can get context on their previous deals, guess what it does, guys? One, it allows you to know what they like and don't like about them, right? So it allows you to avoid the dislikes and allows you to try to focus on the likes. I literally just saved some of you guys hours and days and weeks of your time. So again, not getting feedback on how they feel about their other investments is one of the other biggest mistakes realtors make when working with investors. So don't make that mistake. When you're working with investors, when you're doing consultations with investors, ask them about their other investment properties, ask them what they like about them, ask them what they dislike about them, and that's going to give you context for how you should move forward with them in your current market. Next, not establishing yourself as a trusted advisor. Not establishing yourself as a trusted advisor. I'm telling you, when you get these investors that go to these groups and they pay a lot of money, these groups do not highly respect realtors. They just look at using realtors. They say that they want a win-win relationship and they use that scripting, but they don't do it with their actions, especially when they're new investors, right? They just don't. They're fine getting all the benefits in the relationship and not caring that the realtor makes that much money. How do I know this? Well, think about it. If you're working with an investor that's looking for a $60,000 property and they're going to have you running ragged and doing all this work for them for a month or two, and then you finally get paid, and their minds are like, look, you finally got paid. And you're like, dude, I made like $1,500 or whatever, $2,000 for 2 months worth of work. Like, come on now, right? So the way a lot of these organizations and investors look at realtors is you're just door openers, right? Or you're just data pullers. Just give me comps. Just give me this. Just give me this. Just submit offers for this. Well, why wouldn't you want to submit an offer for me? It gives you an opportunity to make some money because things take time, right? And I gotta judge my time. So it's very important that in the very beginning, work with an investor, that you establish yourself as a trusted advisor and not just a door opener. Oh, let me send some properties to your email and see if they're a good deal, right? We actually, it's so funny, I'm about to say this, but we actually tell investors no when we initially meet an investor at a networking meeting, in passing, a quick phone call, things like that. They say, well, if you come across any good deals, to, wholesalers and realtors will always say, okay, yeah, I'll email you some stuff, right? At Uprise, we don't. We just don't. They say, well, if you come across a good deal, let me know. Actually, I'm sorry, we don't do that. And it makes them stop and say, what do you mean? That doesn't make any sense. What do you mean you don't do that? Why don't you do that? Every realtor I talk to just tells me yes. And we say, because we look at it as our job with investors is help save them time, energy, and money and frustrations. And so everybody else and their mama's probably sending you a deal. How's that working for you? Right? How's that working for you? So, and then when you say it like that, we focus with investors in helping them save stress, frustration, and time, right? Everyone else is sending you properties. How's that work for you? Right? And then it makes them curious. And now that you have them curious, now you can show them your process or just give them insight into what it's like working with you as a trusted advisor, not just a realtor like everybody else. Okay, so that's huge. And again, if you want more information on how to have investors perceive you as a trusted advisor, just reach out to us. We'd love to support. Another one, not asking enough questions about the capital and source of capital, right? So investors, this is so funny. Like we always know, write this down. This is a quick way to know, one, if an investor is serious, and then two, if an investor is a decision maker. Okay, if you say how much capital you have to invest, and they say, well, it depends on the deal. And that's wrong. That's wrong. I bring you a deal tomorrow for $2 million. Do you have no capital for $2 million? Well, it depends on the deal. No, it don't depend on the deal. You already have an amount that you're able to allocate to real estate funds, whether that is $100,000, $500,000, $10, $0, negative $50, whatever that number is, you have an allocated amount of funds that you can delegate for real estate investing. You already have it. So don't give me no wishy-washy type of, but that's a sure way to understand that you're not dealing with someone who's serious and you're not dealing with someone who's a decision maker. Why? Because they're probably relying on someone else's funds to actually do the deals, and they don't actually know how much they're working with, right? So so that, so they may say something like that. Another thing to say is, okay, how much capital do you have to invest for your next real estate purchase? And they may say, well, it depends on the deal, but I'm good for it. And say, okay, yes, I know it depends on the deal, but how much have you allocated? How much do you have available? Or how much do you have liquid? And they say, well, I'm going to use hard money, so it just depends on the deal. No, it depends how much the hard money company is going to lend you depends on the deal. But how much money you have before the deal even comes up is not this big thing. And so, yeah, we know you. Okay, great. You're going to use hard money to purchase deal, but how much money do you personally have in your accounts to invest in a deal? And again, whether it's, especially during the consultation, we are asking these questions and we don't care to get personal. Why? Because we know a couple of things. If this person is going to be transparent with us and be in alignment with us, we have the opportunity to make a lot of money together. If this person is not going to be transparent and not going to be honest with us, then we're just going to waste a whole bunch of time with them. Because think about it. Doesn't a lawyer ask personal questions in this area, in these type of areas? Doesn't a doctor? Doesn't a CPA? So and aren't all of them trusted advisors? So why wouldn't you ask the same type of questions to make sure that you're giving your clients the highest level of service and that your clients are able to fulfill on their side as well? Another one, not finding out the investor's risk tolerance. I see this time and time again. I see investors taking a brand new I see realtors taking brand new investors out to look at historical homes, and the rehabs are $70,000 to $100,000 to $150,000. It's like, come on, man. You're gonna spend all this time looking around, making offers, looking at comps, doing all this stuff, and then when it comes to them getting a hard money loan, or when it comes to them getting an inspection report back, when it comes to them realizing how much it's actually going to cost to fix the property, then they back out the deal, and you had no chance of getting it in the first place, right? So risk tolerance is everything. You may be working with an investor who's out of town, and you're showing them all these properties, that have foundation issues, and they're a first-time investor, and they don't even want to deal with foundation, right? So you gotta figure out, you don't have to, you can waste time, but it's in your benefit to ask questions and figure out what's the risk tolerance for my client. So when I come up on these deals, anything that has a risk tolerance above where they're willing to go, I can just eliminate those and not even waste my time. And I can just focus on the properties that are within my client's risk tolerance. Another one, not identifying the investor's long-term, medium, and short-term goals. Not identifying the investor's long-term, medium, and short-term goals. Why is this helpful? Too many realtors spend time looking at properties with an investor that don't even line up with what the investor initially said their goal was. If you have some investors do this, okay, well, I want to invest. Do you want to buy, hold, or flip? I just want to buy a deal, whatever comes. I'm going to do a rental, I'm going to do a flip, whatever comes. When you hear that, just know if you get up from the table and just start looking, you're wasting a whole bunch of time. You make sure you sit your butt at the table, sit them at the table, sit them through that Zoom call, sit them through that phone conference, and you keep it going, go deeper, right? Because there is no, whatever it is, Airbnb, rental, flip, whatever it is, I'll just buy. No, maybe there are some exceptions, but again, your biggest commodity when you start producing as a realtor is going to be your time, right? And how much you're making per hour. And the more time you waste, the less you're making per hour. And so it's so crucial that you get the investor to agree or to decide on what they want their short-term goal to be, their medium and the long-term goals, so that you can make sure that what they actually have you looking for, looking at, making offers for, pulling comps is all in alignment with what they really want. Because when you get the, oh, whatever it is, then because it's not their time being wasted, because you're the one out there spending the time, they're fine with you exploring like all the options and then saying no to everything because they really just want to do a buy and hold, or they really just want to do a flip, right? So be mindful of that. Another one, not realizing that a good deal doesn't mean it's a good deal for you. So we have a model here, Uprise. Again, I kind of said, but I'm going to say a little clearer. Just because a property is a good deal doesn't mean it's a good deal for you. It doesn't mean that, right? It doesn't mean that, right? So beware, don't be satisfied with just an investor that says, oh yeah, I'm just looking for a good deal, go find me a good deal and I'll buy it. No, you want to, it's more efficient and effective if you really narrow down. Again, ask a whole bunch of questions. That's our way. You really, that's a trusted advisor. You really narrow down on what it is that the investor wants from A to Z, from returns, from time frame, to risk tolerance, from type of property, to side of town, to how much capital they got. Like, you really want to have a strong strategy and game plan so that you don't waste time, you invest time, right? Another one, not understanding how to work with new investors, right? Not understanding how to work with new investors, one of the biggest mistakes. And what I mean by that, it's important for you to learn how to work with new investors. It just is. You can waste a whole bunch of time work with new investors, and the investor starts thinking it's you, right? Where it may be you, but it's also them because they're new, right? And so there's a way to work with new investors, right? There's a way where if you're showing properties to a new investor and nothing really matters until they make that first offer. Nothing really matters because that first offer is a commitment to the process, to the ideas, to what's supposed to be going on, right? It's a commitment to it, and it lets you know that they're serious, right? It's a long road from an investor, say they want to invest and they have money and they sent you proof of funds, all the way to looking at properties, evaluating properties, and making an offer. Like, it can be within 2 days, but it can also be a long road when you're dealing with a brand new investor, right? So it's important that you see that they're willing, that they're serious, and the way to know if they're serious is within a short period of time, they should be committing to make offers on properties. And if not, then you got to have a talk, right? Another one, wasting time making a large set number of offers for investors weekly. If you get an investor that says that stuff like, well, I want to make 25 offers a week, I want to make 30 offers a week, I want to make 10 offers a week. It's not that the idea is bad. Okay, like in theory, the idea is good for the investor, but as the realtor, okay, it's not, it's not practical if you're working with other clients and you're a top producing realtor. Two, it's a way for the investor to not have to do any work, spend any time, energy, or effort, put everything on you. And basically every week when you throw 25 offers out, let's see what's sticks, whatever. And then I'll look at it and then think about buying it, or I'll back out and won't move forward. If you were on the investor's payroll, this might be a different story. If the investor was paying you upfront, this might be a different story. But because we get paid on commission, and we only get paid basically on transactions, yeah, it's a big waste of your time. If there's 10, like, here's what I mean by that. 25 offers. Well, if there's 25 legit properties to make offers on every single week, okay, cool. But if there's only 3 to 4 properties that make sense making offers on based on your criteria, based on where we're at, we ain't gonna just pull out another 18 random properties or whatever it is out of our butts and just make offers just for the sake of making offers. Nah. Okay. Another one, giving investors comps before solidifying the relationship. You have to remember how you start a relationship, okay, especially a business relationship, has a big influence on how they perceive you moving forward. So if an investor perceives you as an order taker, as an assistant, they, hey, I need some comps, you send the comps. Hey, I want to see this property, then you show them the property. Hey, I want to do this, then you do this, right? Like if you're just taking their orders and you're not leading them in any kind of way, you're not advising them in any kind of way, you're not being a trusted advisor in any kind of way, you're just letting them lead and you're just doing whatever they tell you to do, they're going to view you as an assistant. They're going to view you as an order taker. And you're going to lose your posture and they're going to have you under ragged. It's one of the it's another huge mistake realtors make and work with investors, right? So make sure before you start sending investors comps that you solidify the relationship so that you're investing your time, not wasting your time. At number 12, working with investors who are also working with other realtors. Right? Working with investors who are also work with other realtors. Now, yes, an investor could lie to you, right? But at the end of the day, what you don't really want to do is you don't want to work with an investor that you know kind of boast like, yeah, I'm working with three other realtors. I'm working with three other realtors right now, and I'm working with three other realtors right now, and you're one of them. And so, whoever gets me the first deal is who I'm going to go with. No, don't waste your time. Go find another. Trust me, there's plenty of investors out there. Don't waste the time. Don't waste the time. There's plenty of other investors out there, and so keep it moving. Keep it moving. Right. Again, if you're one of four realtors sending them properties so they can find another deal, you're not just an advisor. You're just a vendor. You're just someone that's supposed to that they feel entitled to help them in the pursuit of their goals. And that's not what we're about. Hopefully that's not what you're about if you don't want to waste your time. And I got one more for you guys. I got a bonus for you, okay? Here's a bonus, okay? Not knowing how to tell an investor that they are incorrect when it comes to rehab numbers, ARV, or anything in general. So most realtors are a little intimidated when they work with investors. It doesn't matter if the investor's new or the investor's experienced. Just the idea of them being an investor, they want to do this big thing, and I'm just a realtor, right? Is a lot of mindset in the beginning for us, and we may be intimidated. And so, when investors ask for it, we says how much that property's worth, and we tell them, and then they ask to see comps, and then we send them comps. They say, nah, this property's only worth about $15,000 less. The biggest mistake realtors make is reevaluate that, and if they're right, let them know they're right and tell them why you made the mistake. But if they're wrong, don't just let them think they're right, because what's going to happen is on the next 5 deals that you find, they're not going to believe you in the ARV, and they're going to say you're wrong. So if they're wrong and you verified it, verify your stuff. But if they're wrong and then let them know they're wrong and let them know why they're wrong, so that moving forward, guess what? Now they look at you as a trusted advisor, and now they have confidence not in themselves, but they may have confidence in themselves, but now they have more confidence in you and you helping them. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. This information is gold. I'm telling you, investors are a wonderful way to bring consistency to your business and to develop some great relationships, right? When you work with investors, it's great because you're not just building for now, but you're building for the future, because you're able to make money on the front end when you help them buy properties. You're able to help them on the back end when they sell properties. You're able to help them do repeat business when they're ready for the next investment. And then investors always know other investors as well. So like I said, guys, my name is Adam. I hope this has been a blessing to you. If you have any questions about any of the items I mentioned, if you have any questions or need more insight on how to work with investors, or you just want to kind of talk and figure out where you went wrong with another investor so you don't make the same mistakes, right? Reach out to me. Love to connect with you, share any of our tools, training videos with you as well. Also, would love to jump on a quick 20-30-minute Zoom session with you guys, help you understand how to work with investors better as well. But other than that, have a wonderful day, be blessed, and let us know how we can support. Thanks.